Hi everybody and welcome to Funding a Better Future. This is a series of bite-sized episodes which feature the expert insights of climate tech investors. My name's Cherry and I am the founder of Above and Beyond Recruitment. Our business partners with climate tech startups and we help them to scale and grow their businesses, either by recruiting for them and helping them grow teams or by offering talent advisory and consulting services. This series is aimed at founders and leaders of climate tech businesses, and particularly to anybody that's looking to raise investment this year. Throughout the course of this series, we hope to give you a realistic picture of what the investment market looks like today, as well as some great tips to help give you the best chances of success in your next raise, and hopefully a network of individuals that you can make an approach to when the time is right for you. Today, I'm joined by Adam Chirkowski from Albion VC. Albion VC have been providing investment and strategic support to founders since 1996. And despite not being a pure play climate investor, they have a long history of supporting visionary founders through their growth journey. Adam is their investment director with a particular focus on climate tech. So Adam, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having me.
My pleasure. And are you happy, Adam, to kick off by, I gave a bit of an intro there to Albion, but I'm sure did not do justice to, what you offer and what you guys do. Are you happy to give a bit more kind of context around Albion and around your role?
Yeah, sure. Well, as you say, Albion's been going since 1996, so over 25 years now. And what we've kind of evolved into over those years is really a focus on B2B SaaS tech investing, sector agnostic, so not focused down on anything in particular, but have built up expertise in various areas, things like fintech and digital health and big data and cybersecurity. My role within Albion now is in looking to grow a new cluster and focused on that B2B SaaS space and focused on climate tech. We're UK focused. Our funds, the majority of our funds are VCT, so we focus on UK opportunities. I actually joined Albion almost 10 years ago now, and one of the parts of Albion back then was a renewable energy focus. On the infrastructure side. So I actually did a lot of work with building small-scale UK renewable energy generating assets across the UK, solar, wind, hydro, bit of anaerobic digestion. And we actually, we deployed about 160 million into the renewable energy generation space. So what my role is at the moment is really looking to take that kind of renewable energy generation background, combined with the tech expertise that we've built up and focused on, kind of combining those together with a look at the B2B SaaS space within climate tech. So really SaaS as a great potential enabler and accelerator for climate tech.
Yeah, absolutely. And that sounds like the blending of those different kind of areas and of expertise is kind of perfect for this space and where it is today, right? And in your opinion, you kind of have a unique position then in that you, being sector agnostic, you see the trends that are happening within tech investing across all of those sectors, but then with that particular focus on climate tech as well. What in your opinion does the funding landscape look like then this year, both sort of broadly and then how kind of climate specifically sits within that?
Yeah, it's been a fascinating couple of years, both from the broader tech environment and for climate tech.
Yeah.
Through last year, the wider technology sector has obviously had quite a tough time. But actually throughout 2022, when the rest of the environment, the rest of the sector was taking quite a hit, climate tech was almost slightly insulated from that. It didn't get the same kind of hit. And that might be for a variety of reasons. If we look big picture and the journey to net zero, we don't have all that much time, and it is an urgent situation. But coupled with that, I think you had through 2020, 2021, and still through 2022, you had quite a lot of climate-specific funding that got raised. So the capital availability with a specific focus on climate has been there throughout 2022 and is still there in 2023. So it's going to be a fascinating year in 2023, just to see how that dynamic plays out. I think you're starting to see a slowdown, and some of the trends from the wider tech space coming into the climate tech space. And that may be that funds are having to reserve money for investments that they've already made with the potential to extend runway. It's also a kind of a bigger picture question in terms of that focus on sustainability down to the kind of person on the street, right? Whether that kind of demand for sustainability holds up in a cost of living crisis, and that's to the person on the street, and it's to corporations as well. As you say, we focus on B2B SaaS, where the customer is kind of corporations and enterprises. Now, all companies have got a spotlight on budgets at the moment, and that includes sustainability. So I think you're starting to see a real focus on every pound that's being spent, and therefore every pound that's being spent needs to be justified in this environment. So, like I say, it's a very interesting time to see how that funding environment plays out through 2023.
Yeah, absolutely. So general picture then is that climate tech's a bit of a pocket of buoyancy amidst a slightly rockier, wider economy, but it'll be interesting to see whether it retains that buoyancy over the course of this year.
Yeah, I think it has been historically. I think the question around how much that can be maintained through this year and beyond is a kind of remain to be seen.
Definitely
fascinating times.
Like you said, about that balance between the cost of living crisis and will the demand from individuals for sustainable focused services, products, technology remain. I mean, in some cases you'd think it would, right? Like things to do with the circular economy that are ultimately going to make things more affordable for people if they're shopping more sustainably. But then for companies to put that in place costs them a lot of money. And like you said, when they're facing rising costs themselves, do they want to invest in the technology to deliver that? It'll be.
I think that kind of boils down to a flight to quality, which is only a good thing. I mean, people will still demand the products if they're better products, which in many situations, those sustainable products are better products at price parity now. And it's the same with software solutions for enterprises. If you can demonstrate value to the corporate over and above just what has historically, if you're looking kind of 10 years ago, 5-10 years ago, potentially being just ticking a box toward and a move to actual value that those products can give to a company.
Yeah, definitely. And for this year, what are there kind of parts of the climate tech sector that you're most excited about, either on a personal level, just because you think the innovation's really cool, or even from an investment perspective? What do you think the best parts of that sector are going to be this year?
Well, I don't actually focus down on any specific verticals. I kind of look at the whole software space, and actually, I mean, climate tech almost isn't really a sector in itself. It's kind of an overarching theme that touches all different sectors. But having said that, some of the verticals do lend themselves better, and I've just tended to see more kind of high quality stuff coming through them. I think one of the big ones, which was obviously a big worldwide trend from last year, was around the energy crisis, which was, has been and continues to be a tough time for a lot of people. One of the one of the benefits of it is it's starting to make a whole industry which has been extremely antiquated and reticent to move actually start to shift and start to look at new solutions and new ways of doing things. So I think and there are obviously huge markets that we're talking about, and markets that are moving towards renewable energy. But around that renewable energy, there's a whole load of kind of management systems, battery storage, the way people buy energy, that are all kind of ripe for disruption. Similarly, although I haven't quite seen the same shift just as yet, the whole property industry is similar, and focus on energy bills and becoming more efficient, down to the construction of property and the circular economy around there. So those are two big areas. I think the last one is just the role of data generally. I think companies are in various stages of their own kind of climate journeys and education up the kind of climate journey. And I think a lot of them want to know or want to do things and want to shift to net zero, but don't really understand what it means, don't really understand yet how to get there. And I think the role that data can play in that and evidencing the value to these companies is a very interesting segment. And the role of the kind of climate risk modeling, for example.
Absolutely. And that kind of democratization of that data that's previously been really difficult to access and quite opaque to understand and draw insight from, being able to demystify some of that for businesses to make it really simple and streamlined for them to make the right choices. Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. And in your world then, if you've got kind of people that perhaps, are in organizations that are doing that kind of thing and they're looking for investment and they were to approach you, what do you kind of look for in a good investment prospect? And I suppose second to that, what advice would you give to a founder that was looking to raise this year? Where in their business would they need to focus? What key actions do they need to be taking now to make themselves attractive when they speak to VCs?
I mean, number one, it starts with the founders themselves, right? They are the experts at what they do, and it's marrying the vision that they have and the drive that they have with the kind of commercial aspects to deliver that. I think all our decisions kind of almost start and then come about to end at the founders. We're looking to back kind of visionary founders with the potential to disrupt mass markets and really grow category leaders. I think in terms of the businesses themselves, I think really understanding what the problem is that they're trying to solve for customers, what the key pain point is and how valuable that is to customers. And also how their solution, how their product is addressing that problem and addressing it in a way that's more beneficial and differentiated to other kind of products and other solutions out there. And understanding, therefore, how it can scale and how it can scale defensively, so that if you are looking to grow a kind of category leader, if you're growing something valuable, you can guarantee that other people will try and do it as well. So you've got to kind of keep ahead of the curve. I've always said in ClimateTech that the most interesting ones are the ones with the biggest scalable potential, are the ones that can demonstrate both the kind of climate impact and environmental improvements, but also the commercial impact for the people that they're trying to sell to. It's kind of this concept that you don't just sell to the chief sustainability officer, you sell to the CFO as well. And if you can demonstrate the kind of financial impact as well as the climate impact, you'll find a lot more traction, a lot more people willing to give you a go. I think don't overpromise.
Right.
in terms of to investors is always a good one. Know where your gaps are. Know the stage that you're at, and have the vision that you're trying to get to. But be aware of what you need in order to get you there. We invest at Series A. No company is fully formed at Series A. That's the point of it being an early stage investing. But having the awareness of what you need to do, the stage you're at, and what you need to do to get to the next stage. I think, and part of that is also not getting distracted, right? Focus on that core problem and your core solution. I think especially at the moment where there's a lot of emphasis on capital efficiency, and funding isn't just there as it was a couple of years ago, where people could start to do almost side projects or kind of try and develop things outside of their core quite early on. I think the discipline of focusing on what you're delivering and how you're delivering it over the next 12 to 24 months is crucial. The obvious one for a VC is valuation.
Yeah.
But also understanding the dynamics around valuation. It's easy to say that, VCs want to pay less and founders want to be paid more in terms of valuation, which of course is true. But also, VCs need alignment with their founders. It's in no one's interest to pay so little that you're diluting the founders out of any kind of alignment with what you're trying to achieve. And also in the current funding environment, I think the higher, again, looking at it from an early stage point of view, Series A isn't the end goal of these companies, or certainly shouldn't be if the vision's there. And at the moment when funding is going to be hard to come around, there's going to be a lot of companies competing for the funding, trying to maximize, kind of really drive up your value at Series A will put you under a lot of pressure in terms of what you have to deliver in terms of your next rounds. So there's a fine balance, but I think just understanding where that balance is coming from is helpful. And then lastly, I think know your investors, know who you're speaking to, not only when you're going out to investors, but actually when you're coming down to decision time in terms of selecting investors, because it's a long-term relationship and it is a two-way relationship, and it needs to work both ways. So I think, being aware of who your investors are, having alignment in terms of your visions, and making sure you're starting off the journey on the same page it's the best way to start the journey.
Fantastic. That's super helpful, Adam. Thank you so much. There's a lot in there, I think, that will be very useful to founders at this stage. I mean, most of the founders in my network and potentially a lot of the people watching this and listening to this will be at that kind of up to Series A stage. That's really helpful for them to start kind of focusing on those areas. Brilliant. And as this year plays out, is there anything in particular that you're kind of excited about in your own world of Albion VC and the work you guys are doing?
I think, for us generally, whenever you get these kind of resets, these slight market resets, is always, you tend to find almost the best opportunities come out of them. Sometimes you have to be patient to wait for them, almost for the market not to quite bottom out, but for things to start warming up again. But you often find the best opportunities, and they don't cost you the world. So we're excited to carry on looking for those. We've just closed our annual fundraising. I think within climate, for me in particular, as much as ClimateTech in some shape or form has been around for 20 plus years, I think the ubiquitous nature of it now, with all the subsectors that it's touching, means that actually a lot of them are quite nascent markets. They're quite early on in in their growth stages. And I've certainly seen, even over the past 12 months, how rapidly the ecosystem is kind of improving in all facets, right? And it's from customer understanding, but also through to the teams. You get a lot of second-time founding teams who have maybe come from a different area like fintech, and they want their next thing to be within climate tech, and all that just improves the quality of opportunity within climate tech. So yeah, for me personally, within climate tech, just excited to see that continued improvement.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. And if there are people watching this that would be interested in starting a conversation with you about investing in them, what's the best way for them to get hold of you or anyone else at Albion VC?
Through either through the website, or just shoot me a message over LinkedIn. Tends to be the go-to nowadays.
Yeah, it does. Lovely. Thank you so much, Adam, for that. That's been really, really helpful. And thank you, everybody else, for watching. If you've missed any of our previous episodes, we've spoken to some fantastic investors, including Systemic Capital, Turquoise International, Nesta, Nomia, Planet A Ventures. There are several more, but I won't list them all. And we've got more episodes coming over the next couple of weeks. We won't be with you this Friday, as it's Good Friday, but we will be back with you next Wednesday. So thank you again to Adam. Thank you to everybody for watching, and have a lovely Easter weekend.